Another week in the books for the Orlando Magic in the 25-26 season, and this second week was much better than the first. We'll revisit last week's overreactions or relaxes, as well as talk about a couple new ones that have popped up over the course of this past week, as well as a look ahead at the matchup versus the Atlanta Hawks. This is the Orlando Magic Nation, your source for all things Orlando Magic on YouTube. For Magic fans, by a Magic fan. I'm Edwin Valentin, and I want to thank you very much for clicking on this video and spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. You got to do the normal YouTube thing, so hit that like, share this video, drop a comment below on how you felt the Magic season has gone so far. And lastly, if you want to do so, hit that subscribe so you don't miss out on any content that I produce. After this second week, we're going to now look back at the overreacts or relaxes from last week, as well as go over a couple new ones that have popped up. And really, they surround Desmond and Paolo. This second week was much better than the first for the Magic. Now, playing Charlotte and Washington is going to help that. But also, you can just see in those two games that even, yes, they were against teams that are not the upper echelon of teams, they still were NBA teams, and we still needed to have those victories, and they were much needed. So winning 2 in a row after losing 4 in a row is something that will build confidence, and hopefully they can continue at that on into this week as well. Now, if we look at last week's overreacts and relaxes, the first two I talked about last week were the offense and the defense. And for the offense, it was a relax, and for the defense, it was a bit of an overreact. Now, again, we played Charlotte and the Wizards this past week, as well as Detroit. So we didn't look so great against Detroit, obviously, and that was where we really started to have some panic signs of, wow, we gave up over 135 points second time, basically, in 2 games when we hadn't done that since 2020. So it was definitely something that was a cause for concern, and there definitely was a lot of reaction to that. Now, again, we played Charlotte and Washington, so that is going to help our cause. But as we've seen, the Magic have been able to normalize a little bit their defense. They've been able to start having some takeaways again, and that was basically the big issue with the Magic defense. I would say there's probably 2 big issues with the Magic defense right now. Right now, and we talked about it last week, was just penetration. Right now, guys are blowing past the first line of defense and getting to the paint on us with regularity. So luckily, we do have the second best defensive field goal percentage within 6 feet, but there's so many more instances. Like the frequency of it is just ridiculous right now, and because of that, we are giving up so many more points in the paint. And luckily, we are still making sure that teams aren't shooting threes on us, and that's been able to at least keep some of the points down. But I think the main concern for us is the points in the paint right now. So our first line of defense is going to have to be more stout. Obviously, that comes with Jalen and more time he gets to start playing, and hopefully the minutes restriction starts to ease a little bit as we continue along in the season. But that also goes with Desmond as well. And again, Desmond hasn't played horrible defense. It hasn't been all on him. It's just a matter of like he will need to continue to develop, and hopefully the Magic will scheme a little bit better to be able to keep the front line of defense from caving as much as they had. And of course, the second thing is the takeaways. We hadn't been taking the ball away from teams, and that was our superpower last year. And this year so far, we hadn't been doing it, but the last 2 games, again, against Charlotte and Washington, so we take it a little bit with a grain of salt, but again, they are NBA teams, and the stats count the same. So we have been taking the ball away from them more than we've been giving it away. So that obviously is a positive over the course of the year, and that's a positive in these last 2 games. And shocker, we won both those games. Now, there's a talent discrepancy, blah, blah, blah. I get all of that. I can hear everybody saying whatever, but we have to take the wins when we can. Again, we're stacking wins, we're stacking days, and right now we're stacking a couple good bricks on the way to the top. So I think that's going to be a good thing. And if we look at the stats, just in the traditional stats, points per game, our offense has gotten better. So I know I just talked about our defense only, and then I did say to relax on the offense, that it was going to come, and it has. As we've seen, our points per game just in the last few games jumped from 113.5 to 117, basically. We've shot more field goal attempts. Our percentage has gotten better. We're shooting more threes. Our 3-point percentage is getting better. We basically leveled off on offensive rebounds. Defensive rebounds has gone down a little bit, but overall, we're still in the top 10 in rebounding, which is positive. And then the assists are better. They're still not great, but they're definitely better in the last couple of games. We've turned the ball over less, which is great as well. And we've taken the ball away more. So we went from 27th in steals just a few games ago to 18th in steals now. And in blocks, we went from 11th to 4th. So we can see that we're starting to turn the corner, at least definitely on offense and on defense. Now, if advanced stats is your stats persuasion, here we go with the offensive ratings. We went from 108 after 4 games, which is the last time I did this overreact relax, to 113. So that went from 25th to 22nd. The defensive rating went from 114.1 to 112.7. Went from 15th to 11th. Now, that one was a roller coaster because we hadn't played Detroit. So Detroit also skyrocketed us up again, and then the last 2 we've been able to bring it back down. Effective field goal percentage, our effective field goal percentage shooting has gone up. Our true shooting has gone up as well. The assist percentage has gone up. Everything is basically, if you look all the way across the line, has gone up. Even our turnover percentage has come down a little bit, not by a lot, because we still have turned the ball over a little bit more, but we're no longer getting into the 20s like we did against Atlanta and Chicago. So we're in 22nd, and we can see that the NBA is starting to slow down a little bit. Like that, after that first week, it was a breakneck speed. Nobody was going to be able to keep that pace up the whole entire year. And if we look at it now, we went from 8th, and then we've actually played slower, but now we're 5th overall in pace. So that just shows that overall things are starting to normalize. Things are starting to chill out a little bit, and playing fast sounds great, but we're already seeing a lot of injuries, unfortunately, along the league. So our pace, as what Mosley was saying, and actually is a pretty good way of thinking of it. Our pace is just from us taking the ball away and then sprinting up the court to try to convert on the other end. So that's where we're going to create our pace. We don't have to necessarily, off a made free throw, throw the ball up ahead just recklessly. We've started to slow down. We've started to not have as many turnovers. As we see, our turnovers have gone down from 17.5 to 16.7. Still 23rd in the NBA, so still in the bottom 10, but we're not in the bottom of the bottom 10 anymore. So I think that's definitely a positive on there. So now, when we looked at the players individually, when I was talking about whether we should overreact or react. So for Paolo and for Franz, we talked about just relax. It is going to come. Franz has played a good week, pretty steady. Nothing really has jumped out other than he's continuing to hit those threes, and 2 weeks in, he's over 40%, and that's definitely what we want to try to continue. And that's what I've said all along, and I said it in the bold predictions at the beginning of the season, that he's going to shoot closer to 40, then he's going to shoot closer to 30. So I have no concerns about Franz. He's being very selective with his 3-point shot. All good. Everything is going to be fine with Franz. Now, when I talked about AB, my big discussion with AB was a bit of an overreact, but the overreact was more for him being the primary ball handler on any of the units. So as I mentioned, I'd rather put the ball in Tristan's hands or Tyus's hands if he's going to play. And if Tyus eventually doesn't play, Jace's hands. I'd rather have it in somebody else's hands, and we can focus AB on being what I guess he will end up being in the NBA, being more of a 3/D, a 3-point shooter, which his 3-point shot has come down a little bit so far in the last few games. But being a 3-point shooter, I think he's around 32%. A slasher, his field goal percentage is over 50%. He's definitely doing a much better job of getting to the rim. And a defensive player, because he was the one causing havoc in Charlotte, because Jalen wasn't playing in that one due to injury maintenance. So definitely that will be what AB is. Not really much to talk about there. If you watch the play-by-play commentary that I've done for the last couple of games, I talk about it all the time. Hopefully, I'm not too much of a broken record, but realistically, he could be a not the primary ball handler, but a secondary ball handler. Obviously, he does have okay vision. He can make pretty good passes, but so far he's turned the ball over way too much. He's still basically underwater when it comes to how many assists to turnovers right now. So give it to Tristan, give it to Tyus, give it to anybody else really on the second unit or in the first unit if he's going to start for Jalen, which I think was a great thing that they did in the Charlotte game. Let's just have AB off the ball, and he had a really big game in that Charlotte game, scoring 20 points, right, and shooting the ball very well. So again, that's what we should be having from AB. Secondary ball handler, 3/D. That's AB. I talked about Tyus. Tyus had a little bit better of a week in this one. He basically was able to have more than one field goal in a couple games, so that was pretty good. His minutes definitely are down, and I think that's just a symptom of the reality of the current NBA. And again, when I say current NBA, I'm talking about like right now NBA. In that everybody's running, everybody's attacking, everybody's doing so many other different things that it doesn't seem that they will mesh with his skill set right now. And yes, we do need him to spell AB or spell Jalen a little bit so that they're not super tired throughout the course of the day and the course of the game. And of course, Jalen is still on a minutes restriction, so Tyus will continue to play. I just don't know how much he will end up playing, especially if he cannot get his 3-point shot back. Now, in the last couple games, he's hit a couple 3-pointers, which is great because he was 0 for the first week. So that's good. But being over a 40% free 3-point shooter over the course of many seasons of your career, that's where we need the 3-point shot to be. We need him to be off ball. If Tristan is going to be the one ball handling off ball and in the corner, ready to hit that three. And right now he has not been. So hopefully that will also normalize and regress to the mean. And hopefully he gets on a bit of a hot streak from three, which will again help when they are attacking him on the defensive end. Then at least he's able to generate some offense on the offensive end. So in that respect, he's going to be pretty good there. So we talked about 5 players last week, and the other 2 we're going to talk about again now. So we're going to start off with Desmond Bane. So last week when I talked about the overreact for Desmond, for at that point, it was that he was initiating too much offense for himself, and that it wasn't, and I don't mean that he was just ball hogging. That's not what I'm saying at all. Instead of shooting the three and being the floor spacer that we needed from him, what he was doing is he was making a quick decision, which is great. I definitely co-sign on making quick decisions on this team. But he would make the quick decision and drive to the basket. And sometimes, again, him maybe grabbing the ball and passing it off to another guy who might have a different mismatch, might have been better for the offense, is what I said before. Might have been. And we see that so far, that's exactly what's been the case. He hasn't been initiating the offense as much. The ball isn't in his hands. It's gone back to Paolo and to Franz, at least the last 2 games specifically. So we can see their usage has gone up, and his usage has gone from being second on the team prior to the last couple of games to now being 6th or 7th on the team. So in the last game, so he's definitely without the ball now. Now, I might feel a little too much. Like his points per game in the last couple games has really plummeted. So we don't want him to not play. We don't want him not to shoot. We don't want him not to initiate. That's not at all what I'm saying. He needs to shoot. As I've said multiple times, especially last week, and I say it all throughout all the play-by-plays, he needs to space the court. That's why we brought him in here. And someone made a comment that, I'm saying that I'm giving a pass to Paolo and to Franz for not shooting as many threes or shooting more threes. I didn't really want them to be shooting threes. Paolo is shooting in the 20s of threes, and Franz, I think he's shooting such a good percentage right now because he's being more selective. It's not saying he's only shooting 1 or 2; he's still shooting 4 or 5, and but still, it hasn't. He's not at a level that I would want him to shoot 10. Desmond is at a level of a shooter, even though he's struggling now. He's a level of a shooter that I want him to shoot 10 3-pointers per game. That's what I want. Do I want him to be Steph Curry necessarily? No, but he is on that ilk. He's of that ilk. Like that's what he is. He is a shooter. That's why we got him. And right now, and even the first week of the season, he just wasn't shooting threes. And still, he's only averaging about 4.5 3-pointers per game. That's really small comparatively to what he has done in his career. So he's had seasons where he's averaged 8 3-pointers in per game, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for 8, 9, 10. That's what we're looking for because that's just going to help Paolo and Franz. Now, Paolo's mid range, again, we'll talk about that in a second, but just in general, like that will free up Paolo. So hopefully he doesn't have that one guy digging as he's trying to turn and be able to hit a mid range jumper. He with that space that Desmond's supposed to create. That's what we need from Desmond. So now, for me, where have all the 3-pointers gone? That was one thing before, but I think we need to overreact a little bit on Desmond in that now it's gone too far in not getting the ball. Like, yes, I wanted him to not initiate offense as much, but now it's a little too little. Like, we still need him to generate offense. We still need him to shoot threes. We still need him to be that threat to shoot threes. And he's disappeared the last couple games. So I don't know. Again, we're still early and they're still trying to figure themselves out and they're trying to figure out who plays how and all of that. So I get it. We've kind of gone from one extreme to the other extreme. So hopefully we kind of find the happy medium where he's able to score. His season average is about 16-ish. I think at this point it's gone up and down. But if he can score probably around 16, 17, 18 points a game, I think that would behoove the team. And I think that would be an excellent number, as well as, again, shooting 10 3-pointers. And if he shoots 10 and makes 40%, that's 4 3-pointers times 3. That's about 12 points per game plus a couple drives. That right there gets you to 18, right? So I think that's what we hope. So it's a little bit of an overreact now in that he went from touching the ball all the time to now he hasn't touched the ball at all. And I think we should overreact and be like, all right, let's bring it back a little bit. So Desmond, it's unfortunate because he's the new guy, and I guess that's just why he's going to end up getting a lot of flack is because of him being the new toy that we went out and got, and for whatever reason isn't working the way we want. It's early. We're going to get there. No problem. I have no lack of confidence for him. Now, if we look at some of his numbers though here, it's the catch and shoot numbers oddly are they're worse than his when he just pulls up and shoots the three. So I think that's the interesting bit, because him not having the ball in his hands, you would think a lot of the times would be a benefit, because the same thing with Paolo and same thing with Franz. They're now getting the ball in catch and shoot opportunities when they normally used to just have to pull up or dribble the ball 10 times before actually starting to shoot the ball. And as we see here, yeah, he's catch and shoot from 2-point range is only at 25%. His pull-ups from 2-point range is at 46%, and less than 10 is about 53%. Now, he, as we've seen in the last couple of games, especially in that Detroit game, he was getting blocked a lot in that game, and he was having a tough time getting all the way to the rim and being able to get the shot up. And hopefully that's something that, again, once he has more threes in his belt, or again, he has to be a little more shifty when he's getting to the basket because of his lack of wingspan. So I think really, if we look at we look at the shot clock. For me, I'm not that concerned with shot clock necessarily. It's more the dribbles. So if we see the dribbles here, if he has no dribbles, which is basically catch and shoot, he's only at 20% of from the 3-point range. One dribble, 25%. Two dribbles, 25%. 3 to 6 dribbles. So basically him just stepping into one, he's at 50%. So it's interesting that he's struggling so much, especially because he was the shooter that you were just kind of like plug and play. It was going to be, he can shoot from anywhere. He can step back. He can shoot the three. He can step. I think the only place he really struggled the most was the corner threes. So if we can keep him out of the corners, that would be great. There were a couple 3-pointers that he shot this past week that didn't go well either. So hopefully he's able to get away from the corner. There's plenty of other guys that could shoot from the corners, have him be above the break, and make sure that he continues to be active on this team, because we need him. Desmond is the key for us to being able to perform in the postseason and to perform at a high level in the regular season. So we need to get him. So we need to get his mind right. We need to get him every which way. If we're looking at the closest defender, if he's very tight on him, he doesn't. That's the thing that he's been doing this year. He's been electing to not shoot when there's a guy close to him. Obviously, that makes sense, but again, with the type of 3-point shooter he is, he can hit them with a guy in his face, and he hasn't chosen to be doing that. And then wide open threes, 6 feet. There's nobody within 6 feet of him, wide open. He's shooting only 21% from 3-point range. So hopefully it's just a cold streak for him. He's been a consistent shooter, and he has had points, however, where he struggled from the field. So even just as you look of last year, in November of last year, mid-November, I think the 15th to the 27th of November last year, he shot 9 of 39 from 3-point range. So 23% in those 7 games. And in the 7 games so far, he's shooting about 26%, something like that. So he's shooting better this year in that setting, in those 7 games this year, than he did last year in those 7 games, because I wanted to just see what were his worst 7, because I know he's such a quality 3-point shooter that you kind of wonder, oh, like, whoa, that he doesn't have the volume we were hoping for as well, which again was the issue with KCP, and we're hopefully not in that situation again. He just needs to keep shooting. He just needs to keep shooting. And the month after he had a rough November of 2024, in December of 2024, he shot 41% over the course of that month. So he obviously can snap out of it. And if he can go on a hot streak of shooting over 40% from 3-point range, as you see, the offense is already getting back to respectability. As points per game, we're doing much better, but just in offensive rating and all these other advanced metrics, if he's able to start shooting threes and just at a consistent pace, adding that to his arsenal, then it's the sky's the limit for the Magic. And the Magic already are winning a couple games here and there, again, to Charlotte and to Washington, but they have a big week ahead of them. They start the NBA Cup this week, so hopefully they're able to get on point and make sure that they play well against Boston and Atlanta, which are their next 2 opponents. So that's a bit on Desmond. Now the second person I'm missing from last week's Overreact or Relax is Paolo. Now Paolo, there's been much discussion about him in the last week. Kind of as a point, it's not just him; it's the Magic as a whole. But he, of course, being our superstar, is going to be the one that's going to take the brunt of any negative criticism or positive criticism. So, or positive criticism. Anyway, so I think that's the interesting bit for this year for Paolo. Now, Kirk Goldsberry, who is a analyst guy, he's more of an advanced stats type of guy, and he was saying that Paolo is a higher end Josh Smith. So of course that freaked out all the Magic fans, because Josh Smith is not a Hall of Famer. Josh Smith was an All-Star at times, I believe, at least once or twice, and he definitely had an okay career in the NBA, and we're expecting him to be a superstar. We're expecting Paolo to be a superstar. We're not expecting a Josh Smith. So I think a lot of people got all excited about it, and what Goldsberry also said is that he's very high on Paolo, and he's hoping that it's going to be much better. And it's just looking at the statistics, right? And if you look at the statistics, he's not wrong. Like Paolo, unfortunately, at the moment, his mid-range shot is wanting, and he's missing a lot of his mid-range shots, and it just is. It is what it is, right? Like he has missed those shots. There's nothing really that the stats can. You can't really manipulate the stats any other way other than to say that yes, Paolo's currently missing his mid-range shots, and he's currently struggling from 3 as well. So as a shooter, Paolo is not where Paolo wants to be, I'm sure, and he's not where the fans want to be, and it's not where any of the analytics people want to be. And as I mentioned in the preseason and in the offseason, I kept saying that we hope that the Magic come out of the gate, the schedule looked pretty favorable. We're hoping that the Magic were able to come out the gate to kind of get that positive momentum and try to get all the positive praise and try to get all that comes with coming off to a good start. Now, as we saw, we stumbled out the gates, so now everybody's looking at what's wrong with the Magic. Are they the uh-oh team? Or what's going on here? Like, oh, Paolo's not playing well. Is he going to be who we hope he would be? And there's all that discussion, and that's what stinks. And now that's the first impression, or the Magic players have to do a good job now of really digging themselves out of that hole. Now, it doesn't really matter about the criticism, and it doesn't really matter about the discussion, except that it kind of does, because the writers are the ones that vote for all NBA and MVPs and all of that, right? Like that's what happens. So we need that narrative. We need that narrative for a lot of these voting things. And again, it doesn't really matter if we have an all NBA player as long as we make it to the finals or we win the championship. Sure, that's nice to say, but really you don't really make the NBA finals unless you have an all NBA player, or at least someone in the conversation of all NBA. So like I hear that and I get it to an extent, but we need to look at Paolo for what he is at the moment. And in the last couple of games, he's shot much better. So we can definitely give him his his flowers. He's up to 24 points a game, about 10 rebounds, and many more assists. I think 4 assists in the last 2 games or so. So he's definitely playing much better this past couple of games because the balls come back to him and he has a lot more of the say of what the offensive play and the offensive route is going to be happening, and it's all going to be routed through him. So I think that's a very big positive thing. So yes, we have to listen to all these takes about Paolo because that is just what it is right now. Now we hope that his jumper starts to come along. But what I've noticed the last couple of games is he's taking it to the basket again. He hasn't been settling. He's been taking it to the basket, getting fouled, getting to the free throw line. Not always hitting his free throws like we would want again, but he's definitely doing a much better job of getting to the basket, being relentless, making sure that he takes it all the way. And that's something that hopefully he can continue over the course of the season. But if we look real quick at his stats, 21% from 3, not great. Only about 50%, is that what that says, from 2-point range. So that's definitely not where we want Paolo to be. Catch and shoot, that's the interesting thing. On catch and shoot threes, he's shooting better, which is great because that's something that he likely will have with Desmond handling the ball more. Once Jalen is back fully into the fold, he's able to shoot his catch and shoots better than his pull-ups, because dribbling so much against a set defense with the shot clock going down, this is not good for anyone's percentage other than maybe Steph Curry when you're looking at that. So I think the you just need to see him with more and more confidence, because that's been something that has started to lack a little bit here. So for me, if we look at this bit here, looking at the dribbles, if he has, again, 0 dribbles is a catch and shoot, and we see he's shooting about 30% on his 3-pointers there. And so it's not like a 1 or 2 dribble thing. It's either he dribbles the whole entire time and the whole possession, or he catch and shoots. So 3 to 6 dribbles, 25% there. And we can see with the defender wide open, with him wide open, unfortunately he's shooting 25% from 3, 66% from 2, which is great. And if he's kind of open, he's shooting that at 22% from 3. Now he's not shooting threes in general well, so all these numbers are going to be a little bit down, but it's interesting to see that when he's wide open, because this is what I feel happened a little bit with Franz last year, and that's why the hitch really started to come, because when people went under the screen and gave them the shot, basically that's when you have too much time to think, and then you slow things down and you mess things up. So hopefully he's able to get past that. He shot much better as of the last couple games, like I mentioned, so hopefully it's an upward trajectory for Paolo. So we should relax on the discussion, or we should overreact and say that him being kind of an advanced Josh Smith is ludicrous, because Josh Smith never meant what Paolo does to the Magic to any of his teams. So I think that's the obviously context. And again, if you just look at stats, you can say all kinds of things, but context matters. Paolo does way more for the team than Josh Smith did. No shade to Josh Smith. He was a good player, but Paolo is an all-star already, a one-time all-star. Likely will be in all NBA conversations. I think these past few games, seeing how the offense has been reconfigured to having Paolo be the initiator is definitely going to have the Magic offense take off, which it has, as we've seen in the last couple games. Those are my relaxes and overreacts. So again, I'd say that for the offense, we're in a good place. We don't need to overreact. We should just relax on it. It was coming along. It is coming along. It's been reconfigured. Things are going better. The defensive end, we've been able to come back, claw our way back to about 11th ranked now instead of in the 20s like we were a couple games ago. Thankfully, we played Charlotte and Washington. Those stats still count. So we're back at 11th. We'll see what we'll do against the Atlanta Hawks in this one. When we go against Boston is another team that their defense is playing at a high level. So we'll see in this next week how the offense and the defense have been able to hold up, and we will see on that. Now, looking ahead to the Atlanta game. Now, no Trae Young in this one. So we're going to see how they configure their team. Looking at the box score for their last couple games without Trae Young, it looks like it's kind of what we do. It's point guard by committee. It's assists all over the place. Everybody was having assists. And that's kind of what we do here in the Magic. So we understand what it's like to not have a all-star caliber point guard on the team. So it seems that they've been going okay. They've lost a couple. And I think that's just going to be the growing pains when you lose your star player. We went through it when we lost Paolo last year. Now we'll see if Jalen Johnson is going to be the Franz Wagner for Atlanta as they kind of navigate what they are going to be. Now, it seems in the game tonight they're going to be playing with Risache and with Porzingis, who both didn't play in the second game of the season when the Magic played the Hawks the last time. So we'll see what that has to offer. Risache hasn't been playing all that well. Porzingis has been okay. Now, the thing with Porzingis always is going to be on the defensive end. Like, how are we going to attack Porzingis? And I think going back to some of the stats of the playoffs that we played against Boston, where Porzingis obviously was playing, the Franz was able to attack him at will. Basically, Franz shot over 60% going up against Porzingis. So if it's going to be a heavy Franz game, then I think we're going to do pretty well, at least offensively on there. Paolo did okay. Wendell Carter did okay, but definitely Franz was the one that was able to really go at Porzingis and just attack him mercilessly. Now, on defense, obviously, he's much taller than any of our guys that we have on there, so it's going to be a tough game, I would say, for Wendell in this one, especially Okongwu also is a good player as well, and Mohamed Gay. So they have good front court. They don't have the most depth in their front court, but they do have a good enough front court that really it could be a bit more of a struggle again for Wendell. He didn't play all that well in the first game, so maybe we go with a two big lineup at one point, and we bring in Ji with Wendell, or we bring Goga with Wendell, like who that played actually pretty well last year. So we haven't really tried it this year. Who knows if that's something that we might have to do. And again, this is hopefully what's happening more and more, right? The Magic have opened up their bench to a bit more versatility. They've started to play JI more, and that obviously helped our defense. Who would have thought the Minister of Defense now playing will help our defense? So it's good, and he's a pretty good rebounder when he has the opportunity. His rebounding percentage is pretty good. So we will need bigger guys, I would say, at different points in this game, especially if we're playing Risache. Paolo's done a great job on the boards. So Paolo, Franz, all the other bigs are going to have to really come and gang rebound in this one just to make sure, because without the firepower that they normally have, I think Atlanta's really going to try to hit the offensive boards as hard as they can. Now, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I think, is going to be probably their not their main initiator, but he's going to play a lot. He was 8 of 18 in that first game, so he didn't play all that well. He did score 19 points, but that game was all about the Magic. Let's be 100% honest. The Magic lost that game, but you give credit where credit is due. Atlanta took it, so good for them. But really, 22 turnovers by the Magic in that one. It just was way too many. So if the Magic can limit it to 15, if they can limit it to 10, 10 would probably be craziness for the Magic. But if they were to limit it to 15 or so, then the Magic have a golden opportunity to take this one from Atlanta and even the season series and kind of take a bit of a stranglehold on the Southeast Division with 4 wins already in the first 8 games that the Magic are playing. So let's hope that that's going to be the case and the Magic are able to really take hold, lock in. Dyson Daniels is obviously someone that we need to worry about. He hasn't really played great offensively, but on the defensive end, he is who he is. Franz did pretty well on him. Paolo not so much, and I think that's something that we will need to look out for. Paolo played a really poor game in that one, 4 of 15 from the field in that one, and just that was where we were concerned that he wasn't getting much lift. And a couple games have passed, and if he's not getting the same lift, at least he's now at that level and he knows how to hit his shots. He's been shooting better from the field since that game. Hopefully he doesn't settle for too many mid-range jumpers because that's what they're going to want from him. He needs to attack Porzingis. He needs to attack Kongwu, attack Gay. He needs to just attack, and Aristache especially. These are at least some of them are thinner guys. So Paolo and the freight train that he is should be able to put his shoulder in and get all the way to the basket and hopefully be able to hit them this time. And if not, pass the ball out to one of our shooters because our guys are shooting better over the course of the season so far. So I think that's going to be the big one in this match, and we'll see this game. Then we have a game on Friday against an NBA Cup game on Friday against the Boston Celtics. So the Celtics are a little bit under 500, but they've won more games, I think, already than some people anticipated. So we'll see how that one goes, but definitely are excited for the upcoming week, and hopefully the Magic can continue adding positives to the steps along the way. So tell me what you think. Drop it down below in the comments. Let me know if the Magic are going to continue on this route or you think it's just fool's gold because we only played Charlotte and Washington along the way. And do the normal YouTube things. Hit that like, share this video, drop that comment. If you want to do so, hit that subscribe so you don't miss out on any content that I produce over the course of the year. So I really appreciate you clicking on this video and spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. I hope you're having a great day.